The world didn't see it coming. One morning in June, the media swarmed the Manhattan Federal Courthouse. The headlines screamed betrayal, and for once, it was fiction. Jay-Z and Diddy, once brother in the game, stood on the opposite side of the courtroom. The charges: conspiracy, money laundering, racketeering, and murder for hire. It began with a leaked FBI wiretape, two voices, distorted and cold. One was unmistakably Jay-Z's, the other a whispered rasp that could only belong to Diddy. What followed was a 30-page indiction that named names, dates, and dirty deals that spanned over a decade. But as the dust settled, the real story was beginning. Jay-Z sat quietly at the defense table. No Rock Nation entourage, no Beyoncé, just his lead attorney, a federal prosecutor named Silva Torres, and a thick binder of classified files. Across the room, Diddy leaned backward, smirking behind tinted courtroom glasses. The weight of silence began to louder than any testimony. They think they know me. They think because I built an empire from mercy to medicine, I'm capable of anything. But I never thought it would be him, not sin, not the man I carried when the wolves came. And now he wants to carry this. The courtroom burst. Assistant U.S. Attorney Michael Briner stood and opened his briefcase. Your Honor, he said, his voice cool and deliberate. The government intends to prove that Sean Carter was not only aware of the illicit operation led by Mr. Combs, but directly profited from them. The judge nodded. Then let's proceed. Cameras weren't allowed inside, but the media fed on leaks, sketches, and whispers. The hip-hop word was torn. Some shouted, "Free how?" Others muttered. They all knew, but only two men knew the truth, and only one was willing to tell it. Diddy defense played a dangerous game. His lawyer, Patrick Ellington, aimed to make Jay-Z the scapegoat. My client was manipulated, Ellington claimed. He was dragged into a web of greed and intimidation spun by Mr. Carter, who used his fame to shield his crimes. In response, Jay-Z's team unveiled the bombshell, an encrypted drive containing years of messages, videos, and surveillance of footage. But it came at a cost. One of Jay-Z's closest allies had turned over the evidence. Someone from inside Rock Nation had flipped. When I opened that file and saw Titai's name, my heart cracked. He was family, and now he's the key witness for the prosecution. I should have known loyalty ends where fear begins. Tai took the stand in a tailored suit, eyes lowered. He didn't look at Jay-Z once. The courtroom fell into a tense silence as he raised his right hand and swore to tell the truth. Behind the glass partition, Beyoncé sat still as stone, jaw clenched, her eyes fixed on her husband. Mr. Smith, the prosecutor began, can you tell the courtroom when you first began aware of the off-the-book payment from Combs Global to shadow accounts in the Cayman Island? Tai swallowed hard. 2015, after Vegas deal that went south. JJ wanted to back out, but Diddy, he said, backing out meant war. Jay-Z started, fist clenched, under the table. He knew this was it, the moment the world would either crown him a liar or believe, and he had been trapped. The courtroom light seemed too bright, like interrogation barbs. Every breath, every eye's twist was dissected. The jury scribed notes. On social media, Free JJ trended next to Diddy did it. The trial wasn't just a legal battle, it was a war of narrative, and in a world where perception is currency, Jay-Z was losing ground. Diddy smirked every time a name was dropped, every time a dollar amount was read out aloud. It was as if he knew something the rest of the courtroom didn't. And he did, because buried in the unsealed files was something that could burn them both an audio clip. I remember that night. We were in a Miami penthouse, syrup flowing, vines drawn. Diddy said, If anything ever goes down, you say nothing. You hear me? Jay, you say nothing. I laughed, but I didn't know he meant murder. A name surfaced: Lamont Field, a minor executive from a rival label, found dead in 2017, officially ruled a carjacking, but in court, Brenner introduced a private investigator report. Fields had a sealed email threatening him 2 days before his death. The sender? A burner account traced to Combs' global servers. Jay-Z's attorney objected furiously. Speculations, circumstantial, but the judge allowed it. The courtroom temperature dropped. Somewhere in the back row, someone whispered, "That's the smoke gun." And Diddy? He didn't blink. The courtroom turned into a theater of shadows. Witness after witness hinted a hidden network. One where artists were pawned, labels were front, and since silence was paid in millions. But the deeper the prosecution dug, the more the lines blurred between criminality and survival. Jay-Z remained calm outwardly, but inside he wrestled demons, not just legal ones, moral ones. In a world where power was currency, he had chosen control over purity. But had he crossed into a abyss, or was he only guilty of knowing too much? There are no clean kings. We all wear blood in our crowns. But I built mine out of legacy, out of loyalty. I never signed up to be this fall guy. Never. The judge announced a 48 hours recess. Silva Torres turned to Jay-Z. "We can cut a deal if you testify against Diddy. They will introduce your charges and reduce it. Maybe probation, maybe walk free." Jay-Z shook his head. "I don't snitch. Not like this. I need the truth to speak for itself." Outside the courthouse, the world waited. Fans camped with posters. "Justice for Jay." Diddy knew. Hip hop is on trial. News vans camped outside every possible angle. For the first time, fame was no shield. It was a spotlight. Back in court, Silver dropped a nuclear file on IRS whistleblower statement, hidden account, falsified artist contract, shell companies under names like Starline Distribution and Cloud Mercy Trust, and all linked back to one central IP, registered to Bad Boy Entertainment headquarters. Diddy attorney stood up, enraged. "My client is not on trial for tax missteps. This is a smear campaign." But the judge had heard enough. "Call Mr. Carter to the stand." Jay-Z stood slowly. His walk to the witness box was like a funeral procession, every step echoing past betrayals, forgotten nights, buried thoughts. Silver handed him a sealed folder. He opened it in front of the court. Inside, a printed transcript of the write-up. "The Carter, can you confirm that this is your voice? If I go down, you go with me. And who were you speaking to?" Purse, looking directly at Diddy. "Sean Combs, and this was me warning him, because I knew one day he would try to bury me to save himself." The whole place murmured. One reporter gasped audibly. There it was, on public record. I had protected him for too long, but this time I wasn't going to wear his sins like my suit. I looked him in the eyes. For the first time in decades, he looked away. The courtroom fell into Stone's alliance. Jay-Z had finally named Diddy murder, under oath, not in backdoor whispers or legal jargon, but clearly, directly, and publicly. The court recorded typed furiously, her hands trembling. Diddy smirked, faded, his eyes narrowed, his fingers switched and twitched lightly, as if reaching for an invisible remote to mute reality. But Jay-Z was no longer playing the background. He had taken Carter's stage, not with a mic, but with the truth. Outside, every major network caught into their broadcast: CNN, BBC, Revolt, and so on, all live streamed. Jay-Z's testimony. Some called it betrayal, others called it bravery, but everyone agreed it was historic. Jay-Z was steady and rising. I have tried this man's secret for too long, protected him when I shouldn't have, but I'm not going to take a fall for you. Sin, not for murder, not for bribes, not for the darkness you built behind the velvet rope. The George Winter, banging gavel. Order, order, shouting. You said we were brothers. Jay, you said we do right together. Brothers don't burn each other's to stay warm. Gasp filled the room. Diddy stood up furious. You think you were clean? You think you didn't benefit from it all? The belief approached to restrain him. Jay-Z didn't flinch. His eyes stayed locked on the man he once called family. I had loved that man like a brother. When Biggie died, we carried each other. When the Fed came knocking in '08, I covered the trail, but he crossed the line and tried to erase me from the map. That wasn't family. That was fear. The prosecution's crumble, sensing the course was spinning into chaos, but the judge called for calm. We will recess this court, will resume after lunch. And Mr. Combe, you will remain silent until called upon. Outside, the air was electric. Protesters and protesters had arrived, some for Diddy, some against. The courthouse was cordoned off. Helicopters overhead. The rap world had been shaken. Interviews exploded online. Kanye, Nas, even Fat Joe gave statements. The consensus, we didn't know it was this deep. Back in chambers, Silver leaned towards Jay-Z. We had a problem. There is new evidence, new footage. 2006, studio security cam. It's damning. Jay-Z looked at her slowly. Am I in it? No, she said, but he is. And so, is someone you used to trust. Try tie again. The video showed him passing an envelope to a man later linked to the Lamont Field murder. Diddy was the background, nodding. The betrayal wasn't just one layer deep. Jay-Z had been outflanked for years. When the trial resumed, the courtroom admitted the 2006 footage as Exhibit Y. The room had its breath as the grainy video played. The envelope, the nod, Tight-Eye's face, Diddy's unmistakable profile. Jay-Z leaned backward, his jaw clenched. The weight of years sat heavy on his shoulder. Tight-Eye was recalled to the stand. His voice cracked. I was scared. Diddy had people everywhere. He told me, if Jay ever talks, he dies too. I did what I had to do. The courtroom gasped. Even the judge paused before speaking. Let the record reflect. 3. And threat of death. The next bombshell came from an unexpected place. Beyoncé, stoic under now, submitted a sealed testimony. The judge approved it. In it, she detailed coded conversation she overheard at the industry event, Diddy's manipulation, and Jay-Z's torment over what he knew but couldn't prove it. Her words cut deep. My husband's only crime was believing in loyalty longer than it believed in him. She never speaks on business, never testified, but she did this for me, for our kids, for the legacy. In that moment, I didn't fall like a defendant. I felt like a man reclaiming his name. On the final day, the jury returned after 9 hours. The judge called the courtroom in order. Every camera in the city was pointed at the courthouse. On the charge of reckoning, the foreman read, we find the defendant, St. Combs, guilty. Gasp, scream. Diddy dropped his head. For Jay-Z, acquittal. Jay-Z didn't celebrate. He stood in court relief like a man returning from war. Silver nodded. You didn't just beat the case. She whispered. You told the story. You took the power back. Tears welled in Jay-Z's eyes, but he didn't let them fall. Reporters swarmed him as he left the courthouse. One shouted, did you feel vindicated, Jay? He paused, looked straight at the camera. No, I feel sad, because what we built, it wouldn't have been legendary for the right reason. Diddy was escorted out in cuffs. No more suits, no more shades, just a broken man, undone by the very empire he once ruled. As the van door shut, he looked once more at Jay-Z. No words, just regret. In the weeks that followed, Jay-Z issued a powerful interview. We came from survival, he said, but survival doesn't mean betrayal. We owe it to the next generation to build clean. And if you ride dirty, don't drag the rest of us into your ditch. I walked out of that courtroom a free man, but more than that, I walked out whole. Not because the world believed me, but because I finally believed in myself. Enough to speak. Loyalty without truth is slavery, and I'm done being anyone's slave and prisoner.